In this video, I'm going to share with you a pretty cool indicator that shows these kinds of movements on the chart. That means you'll be able to close more than 10 points in profit on the OTC market and, accordingly, confidently make money on the regular financial market. I'll show you all the settings, all the entry points, and after this video, you'll be able to take it and use it in practice. So get comfortable, and let's jump straight to the indicator. Let's start by looking at an example trade. Let's see on which market we can find an example that suits us. For now, there aren't any such examples. And let me make a note, this strategy doesn't have a lot of entry points. In other words, they will be pretty rare, but at the same time, very safe. Here we have a good example on the Australian dollar/Swiss franc pair. And let's break down how this whole movement works, how this indicator is set up. It's called Ichimoku. And it will show us two clouds, a red one and a green one. These clouds indicate the direction of the trade. So if you see a red cloud, you should open a sell trade. If the cloud is green, you need to open a buy trade. So it's basically just for direction. Next, we'll have entry points. That's our confirmation. And that's these two lines, the yellow and the red line. So we need to combine two factors, the color of the cloud and the direction it's moving, and also make sure the price is within the values we need. If both factors match, you open a trade in the right direction and, as a result, you get a very, very safe profit. As you can see, the first trade brings me $1,800. That was just an example of a trade, a pretty good example, actually. Now let's figure out how to add this indicator, how to set it up, and, in more detail, how to work with it. Let's get to the settings. Also, I want to remind you that you'll find even more strategies at the link in the description, and you'll also find our free trading robot, which you can activate right now and start earning with it. All you need to do is go to the link in the description or in the pinned comment, activate the robot, and start earning with it. Also, if you haven't started trading yet but want to, I'll leave a registration link in the description. When you register, you'll get a pretty nice bonus, 50% added to your deposit. So register using the link in the description and start earning with our community. I'll leave links to our trading bot, the platform, and other useful resources in the description. Go check it out right now and see what's waiting for you under this video. But now, let's move on to setting up and adding this indicator. How do you add this indicator? We go to the indicators section, and here we'll find Ichimoku Indicator. We add it. By default, it has slightly different settings that don't suit us. So, to configure it, we click here on the little pencil icon. Next, click the pencil icon again, go to all the parameters, and set them to 7, 32, and 54. Then, go to the Style tab. Here, remove this line. We won't need it, since we won't be using it for analysis. And for the last value, change it from orange to red. Now, the cloud that indicates a sell signal will be the proper color. So, make sure to do all of that. Oh, and you also need to change two lines to 2 pixels each. These are the first two parameters. Click Save, and now you have a fully configured indicator that's ready to use. Let's look at another example, and then we'll go over all the entry points with this indicator in more detail. By the way, while I was talking, I missed a pretty good entry point. Actually, right here would have been the perfect spot to enter a buy trade. Swiss franc, Japanese yen. From here, I can open my sell trade. Let's break it down one more time. The cloud shows us the direction. In other words, the cloud tells us that we should sell. So the question is, which direction do we open the trade? Next question, where do we open the trade? We look for our two lines, line 1 and line 2, and basically, this whole range is a good entry point for us. But here's the thing, since the price can touch the first line, it might reverse in the middle. It could react closer to the outer line, or it might even react right at the outermost line. And so, a really good question comes up. Where is the safest entry point? Actually, the safest entry point will be as close to the cloud as possible. So, in a downtrend, in this case, the red line serves as the safest entry point. But of course, it's clear that the price won't always come exactly to this area. So we can see here that sometimes the price doesn't even touch the middle. That's why, if we look at the realities of the market, this is exactly what will be the safe entry point. So, basically, just draw a line somewhere in the middle here yourself, visually. That will be a safe entry point. And the outermost line, by the way, it could even be yellow. That's also a safe entry point. In an upward movement, accordingly, everything will be the opposite for us. The cloud tells us that we should open by trades. So, our entry points will be between these two lines. Accordingly, the outer boundary here is also red. That will be a super safe entry point, and somewhere in the middle is relatively safe. And, accordingly, the one that gives the most signals but only works out in 70% of cases is exactly the farthest line from the indicator. But still, there will be quite a lot of entry points. This trade brings me a good profit. Let's look at another example, and I'll share another interesting point about this indicator that many traders don't know. British pound, Australian dollar. Here I have exactly that very safe entry point when the price comes to the closest line to our cloud. Again, let's look, our cloud is red. Accordingly, from here we open a sell trade, that's the direction. And our entry point will be when the price is between the two lines. That's why I open my sell trade. Look, I think it's clear how it works with the trend. So, you need to find a good downward movement, and we can see from the history that a lot of trades really do work out here. And even from the yellow line, we also have some pretty good entry points. Yes, sometimes there are breakouts, but that's normal, that's the market. There's never a 100% win rate here, you have to keep that in mind too. But with this indicator, we can achieve 80 or even 90% profitable trades. By the way, I have a feeling. Yeah, this trade is closing at a loss, so I'm opening the next trade for $3,000. And now, on another currency pair, I'll cover this loss and also show you some moves that you shouldn't consider for trading at all. The US dollar to Canadian dollar is actually quite risky, but at the same time, it's not a bad situation. We can open trades when the price, for example, comes very close to the cloud. Yes, it's not the right way, yes, it's risky, but you can still do it. Again, this is not a super safe entry point, I'm warning you right away, but it is possible to do it this way. So here we have a red cloud, which tells us that we should open a sell trade. The price, well, you could even say, has crossed these lines. But the most important thing is that it touched this whole movement, and accordingly, that's a confirmation for a sell trade. We can often see this kind of thing in historical data. Really, the price can break through these lines a little and then return to a downward movement. So, that's what I wanted to show you. The most important thing is, if you're working with a downward trend, there are no issues. If you're working with a strong upward trend, everything works out great too. There are no questions about that. But a lot of traders start trading during some unclear movement. For example, like here. That is, when we have a complete crossover, total chaos on the chart, when the price is moving in some unclear way, it's better to skip these kinds of movements. We have good upward and downward trends, so there's no need to try to enter a trade in places like these. So it's better to skip this trade, skip this currency pair, because it's only going to get in your way. Try to find only quality upward and downward movements. Here again, we had a small segment. Let's take a look. 1. Sell trade. 2. Sell trade. 3. Sell trade. 4. Sell trade. 5. Sell trade. And here was the 6th one, and that's just in half an hour. So in 30 minutes, you can open 6 profitable trades on a single currency pair. I think it's really worth it. And as you can see, yes, I had one trade close at a loss, and that was just because of volatility. So I should have increased the time to 1.5 minutes, or even 2 minutes. But if you don't know how to work on the regular market, how to adjust for volatility, just switch to the OTC market, and there everything works great for 1-minute trades. By the way, we're using 15-second candles and 1 minute per trade, and so, that's exactly the setup we'll be working with. My final trade closes in profit. I cover my $600 loss. And as a result, I'm actually up quite a bit in this video. So, the strategy really does work. The indicator is really good. If you have any questions, just write to our support account. Also, let me remind you that the registration link for this platform, with a nice 50% bonus, is waiting for you in the description. And there's also a link to our trading robot, which will do the analysis and provide signals for you. So, check out the description and see what's there. And if you like it, you can easily start trading with us. I won't say goodbye just yet. Be sure to rate this video if you enjoyed it. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike so I can see your feedback. Anyway, see you in the next videos. See you soon!